can't talk about the history of this country and not talk about the city of Boston. The journey of this nation and this great metropolis are intimately tied together. But there's more to Boston in the 21st century than just the past. They're really renovating on their waterfront. It's an increasingly diverse community with many people of African descent. In other words, the Boston you know from the past may not be the Boston that you visit today. I'm Nelson George for BlackAtlas.com. Welcome to Boston. One of the areas of Boston that's really picking up as a tourist destination is an area called Fan Pier. It's off the water, there's a lot of new developments, lots of new cultural institutions, housing, restaurants, and a big cultural center called ICA. Institute of Contemporary Art. They have galleries, they have shows there and performances, and it's become a beacon of culture. Boston is many things. It's a Red Sox town, it's a college town, it's a town of history and government. It's also a seafood town. I'm at the Barking Crab, and you can get some really good seafood meals here. Which is the seaport section of Boston, right near the new Fan Pier area. I just saw a 10-pound massive lobster, which I did not eat, but I thought about it. So if you come to Boston and you're looking for a really good seafood meal, the Barking Crab is a spot I recommend. Right behind me is a development known as Orchard Gardens, many blocks of sort of working class families, black families, homeowning families in this place called Orchard Gardens. But if you came to the same area in the 1980s, it was known as Orchard Park, aka the Bricks. It was a public housing complex that was one of the toughest in Boston. It was the breeding ground of the most famous singing group ever to come out of Boston. I'm talking about New Edition. I'm talking about Bobby, Ronnie, Ricky, Mike, and Ralph. Now the city has spent, about $50 million over the years, both tearing down the original housing projects and constructing these homes we have here today. But if you're a fan of black music, you're gonna have a little sense of nostalgia for old Orchard Park. I'm in the Dorchester section of Boston, which has a very strong community of folks from the Cape Verde. It's a series of islands off the coast of Africa. It's got a very strong culture. Cecilia Evora, who's an internationally known singer, comes from Cape Verde, sings in a style called Morna. And ironically, one of the most popular restaurants that serves the Cape Verde community in Dorchester is called Cecilia.
We wanted to bring something different to the community. We wanted people to experience our music, our cuisine, our culture, everything that Cape Verde has to offer.
So this is a real melting pot kind of the new, because I was saying it's like everyone thinks of Boston as like Irish Italian, but this is the new Boston.
Oh yes, this is the new Boston. You want to try any type of ethnic foods, that you name it, you can find it in Dorchester.
Well, this is Nelson George for BlackAtlas.com. I'm at Cecilia. It's Tony Barros, one of the owners, and come down. The Beacon Hill section of Boston is a place with great significance for black history, past and present. In fact, Beacon Hill is one of the oldest black communities in the country. A few blocks away from me is the State House, where the black governor of this state developed Patrick toils for the good people of Massachusetts. He's also done some really significant things for the structures behind me. The African American Museum here in Boston was a beneficiary of $4 million in stimulus money aimed at renovating a building farther down here called the African Meeting House. In fact, I think it's probably one or two of the oldest buildings in the country, constructed by African Americans for African Americans, going back to the 19th century. Out of this museum, there's a Black Heritage Trail. You can come here, sign in, and get a walk through the entire area. See all the structures, buildings, and get a real history of how Black Boston evolved. I'm Nelson George for BlackAtlas.com. catch you in the air.